Hello, my name's Chris Jones. Welcome to our first of our sessions on diversity. Now, as I'm sure most of you are aware, the Welsh Government are committed to a race equality action plan to be implemented by 2030. Research shows that there are benefits to businesses from this, both from an ethical and financial perspective, such as fairness, access to a greater range of skills, knowledge, experience and networks. This led to 2.3% more to have a higher cash flow than competitors. 35% of diverse companies outperform their competitors. 19% increase in revenue with a diverse management, with more than 6% of the population identifying as ethnic minorities. This means hundreds of thousands of people who are currently excluded could bring great value to a business. In this expert session, using statistical evidence, our speakers will discuss how diversity can increase your business bottom line through increased innovation, customer attraction and retention. So our opening address is brought to you by Salima Bahadur. Salima is from the Ethnic Youth Support Team and we'll be talking about the business case for a diverse workforce and the various ways in which diversity benefits the bottom line. So, welcome Salima. Would you be kind enough, first of all, to give us a brief outline of your background and what you're currently doing?
Yeah, I'm Salima Bahadur. I'm working at East and we are the Welsh Government appointed lead body for race in Wales. And we've got a few different strands at East where we support members of the Black, Asian, minority ethnic community. So BME young people, asylum seekers, refugees. We help fight racism within the wider community. There's a few different strands. And within Welsh Government, we've got the Race Equality Action Plan, so the REAP, which has the aim of becoming an anti-racist nation by 2030. And this is huge. To become an anti-racist nation is just such an amazing goal to have, I think. But as businesses, I think people need to start thinking now and acting now so that we can become that anti-racist nation by 2030. With the way that the years are flying by, it's not that long away really, it's just 8 years. So we all have to do our little bit, I think, start now, do our little bit, just to make sure that there is more fairness, more social justice out there for people from minority ethnic backgrounds. I mean, in relation to the topic we're discussing today, there's close to 50%, I think, sometimes, job applications or CVs get rejected just because somebody doesn't have that white British sounding name. We need to really think about that. Is that fair for these people? Is that the kind of nation or country we want to continue to be?
Good. Okay, thank you, Salima. A really good start there, good, useful outline. Now, I am sure there are businesses and organisations out there, of course, that are actually asking the question, how would we actually benefit if we diversify our workforce?
These figures now have been taken off the internet, so it's not research I've done myself, but there is loads of research that has been done, and you'll find, if you Google it, you'll find loads of different figures that show how you're going to benefit. But just to read a few of those, so if you have a racially diverse team, you are 35% more likely to outperform your competitors. If you just think about that for a few seconds, it's huge, 35% more than your competitors. So the second figure is, if you have a diverse company, you are 2.3 times more likely to have a higher cash flow than per employee than your competitors. So that's huge as well, 2.3 times more. And then diverse management is important, like to have that diversity that runs through the whole organisation, not just frontline staff, if you like. So diverse management increases revenue by 19%. And then the last figure I've got for you, if you diversify your teams, you have 87% of the time, you have better decisions made than if you have individuals making decisions. So it's a huge impact of diversifying businesses.
Ah, okay, yeah. Really interesting figures there. But what would you say then to a business owner if they choose not to take action towards diversifying their workforce?
If you choose not to diversify, I think the implications will be huge. I mean, especially further on down the line with the Race Equality Action Plan coming in, you won't be in line with the whole of what the rest of Wales is doing. I mean, indications given by a report written by Race Alliance Wales said that there's at least 6.4% of our Welsh population who classify themselves as non-white British. It's a huge figure, 6.4% of the population. So if you choose not to diversify your workforce, then you're missing out on hundreds of thousands of people, all those skills, all that knowledge, all the experience. You'd be missing out on all that. So you're not going to get the best for your company. I mean, when you are looking to recruit, you shouldn't be looking at, you know, any other protected characteristics really. You should just be going for the knowledge, the experience, the skills, what really matters. And this is what people as employees, this is what businesses should be looking at. So if they choose not to diversify, going back to your question, I think, you know, after 2030 or even in a few years' time, they will be like the dinosaurs, if you like, of the following decade. You're not going to be in line with the rest of Wales, really.
Okay, so Salima, a final question for you. What should a business not do after recruiting a Black, Asian, minority ethnic background individual? Not do.
There's a couple of points I want to mention here. So one of the aspects that many businesses get wrong when they've hired an individual of a Black or Asian or minority ethnic background is they automatically expect them to be part of their marketing materials or their website. So they expect the employee to be fully happy, whether it's part of their role or not, to have their pictures taken and put up on the website, used in the marketing materials. And this is just something that's so wrong. Unless it's part of their role, or unless you expect all your employees to have their picture taken and to be up on your website, then you shouldn't expect it of people just because they are of, you know, a Black, Asian, minority ethnic background. It's so wrong. And another thing I think is along the similar sort of lines is when employees take on people from minority ethnic backgrounds and expect them to be part of their diversity steering groups or their equality champion, diversity and equality champion. This is also something that's wrong unless it's part of the individual's role and it was made clear to them, then you shouldn't expect that individual to take on those roles. Unless you expect everybody to do it, all your workforce, don't just single those people out. It's so wrong. And when it happens to you, because it's happened to me as well in the past, it's just so obvious that this is what's happening. When you're new in an organisation or a company business, you feel like you want to fit in. So some people, if they haven't got the confidence, they might not be able to say no. They might just go along with it. And this leads to, you know, unhappy staff. They're not able to give you as much as, you know, you could be getting out of your employees, really. So something to think about for businesses when taking on people who are from diverse backgrounds. And during one of the sessions, awareness sessions that I run with a team at East, I share a number of questions with the attendees. So it's about 3 questions. And I say only if an organisation or a business can say yes to all 3 of these, should they start diversifying their workforce if they haven't got a diverse workforce. So the 3 questions are, is your company or business racially diverse and inclusive already? And if not, are you all willing and ready to change this? So that has to be leaders who are willing to change the diversity within your workforce, and the colleagues who are going to be working alongside the new individuals you have in your business. So that's the first question. The second question is, will a racially and religiously diverse workforce belong and feel valued and be welcome in your company? And if they're not going to be, then I would say don't start recruiting yet. You need to change that. So it's a yes. And the third question then is, are team leaders and managers trained in diversity and inclusion? Is your full workforce trained? So you need to be able to confidently, I think, and honestly say yes to each of those three questions before you start diversifying your workforce.
Diolch yn fawr iawn, Salima. Thank you so much. That's a very thought-provoking start to the session. Now, I'm joined next by Liam Rahman. I'll leave Liam to give you a background on who he is, as it were, and where he's come from. So, Liam, over to you.
So, my name's Liam Rahman. I'm originally from West Wales and now live in Llanelli. I am actually half Welsh and half Bangladeshi. As I mentioned, grew up in West Wales and then went to Singapore to go to university, and through that experience had the benefit of getting to know people from all around the world and making friends with people internationally. So my best friends are from places like India and Colombia and Sweden and Spain and all sorts of other places. I'm currently the Managing Director of Equal Education Partners based in Llanelli and in Cardiff. We're an education management company. We recruit staff on behalf of schools across Wales. We also work closely with the Welsh Government to establish and run higher education and science and technology partnerships with universities. And we also deliver tutoring to disadvantaged students across the UK.
Okay, well, you mentioned your organisation there, Equal Education Partners. Can you let us know a little bit more maybe about your business?
So Equal Education Partners is an education management company. We deliver education recruitment to schools across Wales. We also work with the Welsh Government to establish and run higher education partnerships, and we deliver tutoring to disadvantaged students across the UK. Our team is made up of 18 people working across those three teams. In addition to that, we employ over 100 teachers, tutors and instructors who work with us on a daily basis. So I'll tell you next a bit about diversity in our organisation. So we believe that diversity is really important to the success of our organisation, and that starts from within our office team. So our office team is made up of a diverse range of people with a range of educational backgrounds and experiences. And all of us really value international experience and multicultural understanding. So many of our office team members have worked or studied or lived abroad at some point during their lives, and that influences the work that they do on a daily basis. Our teaching and tutoring team is truly diverse as well. We have so many people from a range of different cultural backgrounds, but also nationalities as well. And we also work really closely with people around the world. So our instructors come from countries like Singapore, from the US, from China, and all different countries to really enhance the education that we're able to deliver.
So how important is diversity in your organisation?
Diversity is really important in the education that we deliver. So having people who represent the learners that they're actually working with is critical. So having role models, really positive role models for young people is really important. So for example, when we recruit teachers or teaching assistants for schools, often we're asked for people with different language skills who can work with students who need that. So whether those are Polish students, Bengali students, we often have those requests from schools. And so it's really important for us to always have a diverse team in order to meet the needs of our schools, and we really welcome that diversity. The next thing I'll talk about is just what's needed in education more broadly. So, as many people will know, that, as many people will know, there's a shortage of teachers, and schools are, really crying out for more teachers and people to come into the profession. And I think that really emphasises the opportunity that's there for a wider diversity of people to come into the profession, and there's never been a better time for that because of the needs that our schools have.
Okay, thanks, Liam. So let's move on. Looking at the wider education picture, if you like, how does diversity fit into this?
With the shortage of teachers in the education profession, there's really a need for us to widen the base of people that we're attracting to the profession, and that starts with getting a more diverse cohort of people into teacher training programs every year, and schools being more open and willing to engage with a wider audience and making the effort to actually do that outreach to make sure that they're telling people that they're actually welcoming places for diversity. We do have an issue of an underrepresentation of ethnic minorities in the education profession, unfortunately, and that's something I'd really like to see changed in the coming years, and it can only benefit everyone. It'll really benefit the learners when we have students from minority backgrounds seeing people who better represent them, and they're giving them the role models that they deserve. It'll really help the education sector and the profession, because at the moment we have a shortage of teachers, and it'll ensure that people from minority backgrounds are taking advantage of the secure employment paths and the opportunities that are there for progression in the sector. So I really can't see any disadvantages to that, and really hope that the education profession does become more diverse in the years ahead. There's never really been a stronger business and moral case for diversifying the education sector. As we see, it's not only education that's suffering with a talent shortages and a lack of applicants and people coming into the sector. This is happening right across the board.
Okay, well, let's move on then. Looking at that issue, how is your organisation Equal encouraging diversity in the recruitment process?
I really think there's a strong case to be made for employers in the public or private sectors to ensure that they're diversifying their workforce further and further. At Equal Education Partners, we've made a really big effort to ensure that we're saying the right things and encouraging a diversity of applicants to come forward when we're advertising jobs. So that means explicitly saying in our job descriptions that we actively encourage applicants from ethnic minority backgrounds or underrepresented groups along any other number of lines to come forward and apply to us. Unfortunately, we do have a lack of applicants from diverse backgrounds, and that's something that we really want to challenge and improve over the coming years. I'm hopeful that that will improve with the opening of our new office in Cardiff. Cardiff is obviously, a great multicultural city where we have people moving to Cardiff from across the country, from around the world, and we really would like to see a bigger diversity of applicants coming in, because we really know that that's something that benefits our business and ensures that we can grow, and it's also the right thing to do.
And what else are you looking to do maybe to continue this process, Liam?
So in the last year or so, we've also opened up new channels for younger people to come into our organisation and to build experience. So we really believe in the importance of building up talent and experience within our organisation. So that starts with things like our internship programme that we're opening this year, our involvement in the government's Kickstart scheme, which has been really helpful to a number of people to come into the organisation and learn from our senior recruitment managers. And we also have apprenticeship programmes in place which are supported by the Welsh Government in order to ensure that we can actually actively develop talent within the team and give people structured training and support as they work through our organisation. And those are some of the opportunities I'd love to see more people applying for and taking advantage of them. Aside from those routes into the business, we also want to see more people applying to senior positions, so positions like a finance manager role or recruitment manager roles. And we really encourage people from a range of different backgrounds to come into the organisation and look more at their transferable skills and their characteristics and integrity than necessarily their previous experience in that exact same role.
Yeah, that's really interesting to hear, I've got to be honest. Looking to the future then, what do you think businesses and government can do to improve diversity in the economy in general?
So I really think it's important that we continue to put a spotlight on the success of businesses that are either run by people from minority backgrounds or those businesses that are doing really great work in ensuring that they're diversifying their workplaces. I also think it's important for us to be able to give young people role models, so for people to understand and see themselves as people who could be running businesses and could be improving along those lines. I think it's important for the rest of the business community also to be able to see the benefits of ensuring that there's diversity in the workplace, and not just to see it as something that's the right thing to do, but also to recognize that it's the right thing to do for your business as well. It's the way to actually grow and actually tackle some of the shortages at the moment and to continue to sustain their businesses.
Diolch yn fawr iawn. Thank you, Liam. Now, I'm sure you'll agree there were some good examples there of how diversity has enhanced Liam's business and an outline on the further steps he intends to take. Okay, well, to close this session, we're delighted to be joined by the wonderful Bernie Davies. Now, Bernie is a publisher, a TEDx speaker, she's a trainer, a best-selling author, a leader, an international master coach and business mentor with an outstanding legal career in property, who's now dedicated herself to helping businesses of all kinds to increase visibility, grow their network and thrive. So Bernie is going to address, well, the main question. If diversity is so good, why aren't we all doing it? So Bernie, over to you.
Thanks for the introduction. I'm really pleased to have the opportunity to speak about this important issue of, if diversity is great, why aren't people doing it? And I have to say that one of the fundamental barriers to achieving diversity is that there is no real incentive to do so. Now we need to let those that can make that difference understand that diversity, that is deliberate diversity, will be of financial benefit to us all. But then on the other hand, how are we going to truly achieve change if at first we don't recognize that there is a need for change and that there is an issue that needs to be fixed? How are people going to recognize their privilege and recognize those who are marginalized, the not so able-bodied, the women, the ones who are affiliated to minority religions, those who are of an alternative sexual orientation? How are we going to get people to understand that it is our responsibility to include them and to let them feel that they have value? We have got to open up conversation. We have got to create a space wherein we can engage, support, we can challenge attitudes, we can look at cultural sensitivities, and together we can build a new economy based on diverse talent. Now, my experience over the last 2 years has been incredible. I've had the privilege of working with the Welsh Government as an accelerator coach, and my cohort was comprised of diverse people. And I also had the privilege of introducing Black Pound Day to Wales with the support of Swansea Council. I had the privilege of leading Black Business Matters initiative, which was a joint initiative between Ubele Initiative and HSBC Bank, where they were trying to ascertain how can the banks support Black businesses. Now, together with the support of the Sustainable Scale-up Cluster, which is under the remit of the Food and Drink Wales, we are able to support and ascertain how we can give opportunity and finance the Black-owned businesses. Now, why am I telling you all of this? Is it to blow my own trumpet? No. It is so that you will understand that I am uniquely placed in this time to give a true perspective on the topic. I also had the privilege of being one of the expert panelists at the British Business Bank's launch of their report, their 2020 report, Alone Together, Diversity and Entrepreneurship in the United Kingdom. And that report was telling. Some of the things that came out of that report was that there was such a stark disparity between black-owned businesses and their white counterparts in terms of their longevity, their success rate, their turnover, and just how well they did, their access to finance. And the interesting thing is, the report actually said these black businesses were more often than not more qualified than their white counterparts and worked harder. But one interesting factor that came out of the whole discussion and the report was that a lot of the black businesses came out of the corporate world because for some reason they felt they were not getting the escalation they deserved. So they segued into business. But in doing so, one of the things that happened is that they did not get that experience that you get when you climb up the corporate ladder, the experience of meeting people, making connections, understanding how the corporate world works, understanding the language, how to deal with forms and all sorts of things. So we found that their social capital was bereft of content, quality of content, because you know, we buy from who we know, we give breaks to who we know. So that was some of the challenges that were shown. And now, for my part, I know I can talk about several things. I can talk about recruitment, I can talk about conversations, I can talk about training, but what I want us to focus on in the next few minutes is that word called allyship. Now, I will read what the Wikipedia says about allyship. They call it a neologism, which is used in contemporary social justice activism to describe efforts by members of a privileged in-group to advance the interests of marginalized groups, both in society at large and within, in particular, social context and as universities or workplaces. So that's what Wikipedia says about allyship. Now, Professor Woodson, who is the Associate Director of Diversity and Inclusion at Cornell University, considers that for allyship to work, there has to be a deconstruct. It has to be a deconstruct in the hearts and the minds of people who are in a position of power so that they are able to do and to give what is necessary to make the marginalized individuals and groups within the workplace and within business feel that they belong and they have a place at the table. What can you do? What does allyship look like in practical application? So allyship is really, in the workplace, if you are an employer, you have got to encourage your employees, first of all, your management team, yourself, to give room for the voice, the opinions, and the concerns of marginalized individuals or groups within your workplace. What do I mean? So for example, you are having a meeting, a board meeting, or some kind of team meeting. Allyship does not look like this, where one person from a marginalized group will try to speak, and they are cut off and interrupted and told, we'll talk about this another time, just after the white counterpart had been given the floor. Allyship is not gaslighting. What do I mean by gaslighting? That is asking questions or implying when somebody expresses a concern or an experience that they've had, that would imply that one, they might not really be correct. You know, are you sure you're getting it right? Or you might have taken it the wrong way? Or do you think they might have? It's not making the person who is suffering the uncomfortable moment or the feeling of isolation feel that they have done something wrong to bring it up. Allyship is not passive aggressive. It's not condescending. So it is not touching a black woman's hair in the workplace. It is not asking someone, so where are you really from? It is not asking someone, how did you leave that wonderful sunshine to come here? It is not saying to someone, you are so clever, you're so brilliant, you're so lovely, not like the rest. It is not saying, I don't see color, and I have black friends in the first conversation you have with a black person. Allyship is taking the time to find out, how would somebody like to be referred to? What pronoun? And I could go on, but I do not have all day. Now, my experience in Jamaica, because you're going to ask yourself, well, how are you going to deal with all of this? Yes, Bernie, you're saying all of this. Let's make it practical. No, let's work this out by practical application. You know what's got to happen? We've got to engage in the expansion of the mind. There is a saying that the mind of man, once expanded, cannot resume its original position. So I'm on a mission to expand the mind, a mind expansion mission. And it's going to happen by not creating an adversarial platform at all, because that does not augur well for any of us. It's about opening up conversation. It's about paying attention. It's about asking the people in our workplaces, how would you like us to make you feel more valued? What can you do? What can we do to help you to be more of what you would like to be for this business? It's incentivizing. So it is expanding the mind. And you know, I can tell you that if you create a space that is diverse, it will naturally happen. Because my background in Jamaica was most diverse. Our motto in Jamaica, the national motto, is out of many one people, and that was my lived experience. I had my teacher, she would come in, one would be coming in there, believe me, in an Indian sari, another would be coming in an African dress, another would be coming in, everybody, and I would have my classmates in the same classroom. I'd have white Jamaicans, white people who've come over to Jamaica to work, their kids, Chinese, Indians, everybody. So because we didn't it was not an issue, we naturally learned from each other, and there was no suspicion. So what can we do then is recruit in kind in the workplaces. Let's purposefully practice deliberate diversity with our recruitment. Now, I can only say, as I close, that to ignore the need for deliberate diversity is ignoring an incredible opportunity to build your business with a ripe and rich talent that will affect your bottom line positively. So I'll leave you with this quote, which is one of my favorite quotes from Julius Caesar. There is a tide in the affairs of men, which taken at the flood leads unto fortune. On such a full sea, we are now afloat, and we must take the current when it serves or lose our ventures. So let's ride the wave of new thinking, mind expansion, allyship, and deliberate diversity, and make a change in this post-pandemic economy. Thank you very much.
Yes, indeed, a rousing end to our session. Thank you so much. Diolch yn fawr iawn, Bernie. We hope you found the programme interesting and informative, and we will be delighted if you can join us again later on for the second session and looking further into diversity in the workplace.